You're listening to the Armchair Cricket Podcast.
Hello, friends. Good day. Thanks for joining the Armchair Cricket Podcast. Welcome to the third episode of the Armchair Cricket Podcast. So we are recording this on the 20th of January, and we will be talking about the ongoing cricket events, and we will be discussing some other things related to cricket. First of all, I would like to say thanks to all our listeners from around the world who have been listening and encouraging us and giving us some very valuable feedback. I'm your host Ajit. I would like to now call upon our co-host Giridhar to join, whom I'll be calling Giri. Hello Giri, welcome to the podcast.
Hello Ajit, hello everyone. Good day to all of you. Thanks for being supportive towards us. It's been really nice to have all your comments coming in. Also ideas, new ideas, feedback, very precious for us. I would like to take this opportunity to give some information about the ways you can reach out to us. We are reachable on our email address, armchair.cricket@gmail.com. I repeat, armchair.cricket@gmail.com. We also have our own Twitter handle, @armchaircrickpod. And we are also available on Apple Podcasts. We would love to have you listen to our podcast there on Apple Podcasts and give us your ratings. Whether it's a 5 or whether it's a 1 star, please keep your feedback coming. This will help us a lot also to improve further. We are also available on Spotify. So if you have a Spotify account, you can search for us just look for Armchair Cricket Podcast, and you should have all our episodes appearing there. Apart from that, we will also add links to all these channels where you can find us, find our podcast. It will be available in the description box below. Thank you. Ajit, the stage is yours, please.
Thank you. So just another small thing, if you are following us on Twitter, in the Twitter bio or the Twitter introduction, these links are available. The one for Apple Podcast, and I think also I can mention our mail there. So thanks a lot once again to all our listeners. We are really happy to receive this positive feedback and also some nice ideas. All right. So on today's agenda, I would say, Giri, I think the first thing we can begin with is, as India fans, the roundup of the India-Australia tour. Yeah, India tour of Australia. So indeed, so the ODI series has been wrapped up, and India have won the series 2-1, right? So they made a very nice comeback after having lost the first ODI. India seems to have made a very nice comeback and won the other two. So the most important thing for me is this is one of those very successful tours. I mean, if you take out the fact that it's India touring Australia, this is a very successful tour for any touring team because they have won all 3 formats, or let's say they have won 2 formats and drawn the third one, right? This is a very successful tour. So you give away 1 test match, you give away 1 T20, and you only give away 1 ODI, and you walk away with 2 complete series wins and 1 tied series, right? And I have a feeling if the third T20 was not rained out, India would have taken that as well, that finished in a very, let's say, intriguing way. That was unfortunate that the series got rained out. Anyway, this I think is overall a very successful tour as far as India is concerned, right? And what do you think? What is your overall picture of the tour, Giri?
Oh, I think it's been a dominating performance by Team India in this Australian tour. They have, I think they have dominated Australia in all formats. Like you said, due to inclement weather, they couldn't play 1 T20. I think if they had played that, India would have probably won that. They also, missed out on quite a possibility of a win at Sydney SCG in the last test match, which was also washed out by rain the last day.
Indeed.
I think if you consider all those things, it's been one of the best away series India has ever had. Possibly the best, I think, in recent memory that I can think of.
Indeed, one of the really good ones.
And if you listen to what Kohli said in his interview at the end of the tour, he said if you had told me, you said this. I mean, if you told me that we would win Test series, we would win One Day series, and we would tie the T20 series, I would have taken that. And I think every Indian fan or every cricket fan who loves the way India are playing right now will take that result. A
Okay.
lot of also positives for Indian cricket. I mean, I think we've never had such a dominating fast bowling attack, which we had, in Test series. So a lot of good takeaways, and so many things to look forward to. Considering the team strength they have right now, also the ODI team, World Cup in England should be. I think it should be an interesting prospect for India. India should do well with the current team strength.
Indeed, this is a really mouth-watering contest. I would say going forward, I expect Indian one-day team and the Indian limited overs team to also really come up in the world rankings. I think they may, leading up to the World Cup, they might peak and they might really do well. I'm hoping, as I keep telling you, I would very much like to see New Zealand win. But let's see if they're able to maybe at least go to the finals or the semi-finals, and let's see how it goes. Um, Going further, just to recap the second and the third ODI. So in the second ODI, Australia batted first and they scored 298, nearly 300 runs. And I think Sean Marsh had 100. He was very well supported by Peter Handscomb, who made 20, Stoinis, who made 29. Maxwell did the sort of the finishing work. He scored 48 out of 37.
Mm-hmm.
And this was chased down by India with Kohli scoring 100. But then I think the finishing touches to the Indian chase was put in by MS Dhoni, who scored a 55 of 54 balls, and then Karthik, who scored 25 of 14. What are your thoughts on this ODI, Giri?
Well, the true legend of one day cricket, Indian one day cricket, the guy who started it all. Although you have to say, back in 2005 when Rahul Dravid was a captain and India had, I think then a world record. Is it still a world record in the number of chases that they achieved so many victories? MS Dhoni was also part of the team back then, but then in his captaincy, India started winning while chasing a lot, and he had good finishers like Yuvraj Singh in his team back then when he started, and he's continuing the tradition now. Amazing, true testament to his skill and longevity, his fitness. Amazing. He's a 37-year-old guy who runs like a sprinter. He's amazing. Even Justin Langer has mentioned that in one of his interviews, saying if Australian players can look up to him, the way he runs, the way he stays fit, even at that age.
Of course.
Yeah, so a true legend. I think he's come alive, although with with a break that he had in between the series. So his fitness has never been a problem, I would say.
Indeed.
He has a specific role in the team, and he understands his role, and also his teammates understand the role. Although for us outsiders, we may not be able to see that. It may not be so apparent to us, especially looking at the way he starts an innings. He's quite slow. He's quite pedestrian, to be really blunt.
Yeah.
He consumes a lot of balls to start with, but then, hey, he finishes the innings, right? So in the end result looks in India's favor, and he turns up, he's not out at the end of the innings. Yeah. That's not so bad. But I remember watching this. So, I mean, congratulations to Dhoni. So he did well. But I remember watching him bat with Virat Kohli in the third one-day match. I happened to see this live. Virat Kohli, likes to have strike. He likes to keep the scoreboard ticking. He likes to keep taking those singles. And Dhoni was there on the other end. Dhoni had the majority of the strike while they were batting together, and Dhoni was hitting straight to the fielders every single time. So he even, I think, he played out a maiden over to Jai Richardson, if I'm not wrong. Was it Jai Richardson or was that Peter Siddle? One of those.
Okay.
And he couldn't score a run, and Kohli was visibly frustrated. He even let out a few expletives out, not at Dhoni, but at himself. He was not able to keep the scoreboard ticking. And then in the end, he played a rash shot, and then he was caught behind very nicely by Carey. But at the end of it, also you can see that Kohli was frustrated. But then when everything had calmed down, he acknowledged the fact that Dhoni knows what his role is, and he's playing his role beautifully. I also remember that he keeps wickets for 50 overs, and then he plays such an innings which takes a lot of strain physically. So it's hats off to him.
Of course. Look,
Yeah.
if you were to look at, I think you did a very good summary of Dhoni's role and his, efforts in the series. I think just what I can add is he was sort of slightly under pressure. What we sort of mentioned in the previous episode as well, that Dhoni was not cricketing fit. But then I think he gained that after the first one day, and then in the next two as well, he was able to show his finishing skills, score at a very good rate as a rate, and he likes look his modus operandi is to take it to the last over or nearing to the last over. He likes to take it to deep in the deep into the match, and then he usually wins the match, right? Kohli is more do bulk of the work right away, and then we'll make it easy for the rest of the, let's say, the order, right?
Yeah.
So there is this contrasting approaches. I saw what you meant, that Kohli was getting a bit frustrated. I think that's something they both will sort out outside of the limelight and in the dressing room. And the next time we see them bat, probably this will not be an issue. But indeed, I could see you are absolutely right that Kohli was a bit frustrated, and it may have even led to his dismissal in the third ODI. So in the second ODI, I think just to finish up, I think Bhuvi Kumar bowled really well. He took 4 wickets, and then Shami had a 3-wicket spell as well. And Karthik did the right sort of finishing. What was missing in the first ODI, Karthik was able to do in the second exactly what was required, and that just made sure India won. You see. And then coming to the third one, I think again Australia batted first, so they batted in all 3 of the ODIs. And in this case, though, the Indian bowling lineup was ready for them, and I think there was a very good spell by initially Kumar and Shami, but then the star of the show was Chahal, because he did not let the middle orders get settled in. There were plenty of good contributions. You could see Khwaja made 34, Marsh 39, Sean Marsh. You see, Peter Handscomb had a very good 58. And Glenn Maxwell 26. So you could see that there were contributions right down the order, but Chahal was the real difference. I think he dismissed both the left-handers, Khwaja and Marsh, in his very first over. Both of them sort of seemed a bit soft, but that happens with leg spinners sometimes.
It's fine, I guess. I mean, he's doing well, so
I think he had a point to prove there. He was he did not have a very good second half of 2018, so he had lost his place in the 11. Instead of 2, let's say, wrist spinners, India were now going with Jadeja and another wrist spinner. Also, it had something to do with playing on Australian pitches, I'm sure. But this guy, the moment he's brought back into the team, he takes a 6-4. I like that sort of a, attitude that you want to make sure you are indispensable in the team. So it not only takes a 6-4, he makes sure the team is successful while bowling and keeps the opposition down. And the chase was good. I think it got a bit close in the end, more closer than most people would have liked, except Dhoni. I think he again took it to the end, and Jadhav played his part really well. So not only Dhoni, you could see Dhoni in this case absorbed a lot more balls than in the second ODI. So he took 114 balls for his 87. So it's because the total was not very large. I think he had this cushion of 30 balls, let's say, to take it easy. But I think Jadhav did the perfect finisher's role. So this shows the utility of Jadhav for me. He was brought back in only in the third ODI, and he was not only able to bowl 6 overs, well, not very cheap 6 overs, but that gives a bit of break to the main bowlers, right? Vijay Shankar, I think, did a very good job with the ball as well. He showed he could be this utility cricketer who can maybe chip in with 20-30 runs with the bat and maybe bowl 5-6 overs in the while bowling, and maybe do a good job in the field. He's not like for Hardik Pandya. I think Hardik Pandya has more. He's better with the ball and the bat, right? But
more flair, I think.
Of course, flair as well. Yes. He claims he's from the West Indian side, so that's to be expected, right? So that's very good. And overall, I think it bodes really well that India were able to bounce back and take the series, and they were progressing in strength when it came to their performances on the field, both with the bat and the ball. This is what we really saw, and I really like that, right? So now if we were to just look at the sort of the finishing role, I think Jadhav, for me, so let's get into it. The middle order, right? We have, let's say the top 4 is more or less nailed down now. You have Rohit and Shikhar, then you'll have Kohli, and then Dhoni, right? This is a very powerful top 4. But then,
or is it Raidu? Raidu played at number 4 in the first 2 matches.
That's the thing.
While he was left out in the third.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I think Raidu may not be the starting. It may not be in all starting 11s. This is the feeling I get. I mean, depending on the pitch and depending on the sort of combination India will want to go with, I don't think Raidu might be in every starting 11. Now, this is what I think the team management just showed us. He had
Okay.
two mediocre or middling sort of an outings, the first two, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean you'd be dropped. But
So
that
if Indian team play an all-rounder like Vijay Shankar, then they probably will drop Raidu,
Yes, I mean,
right?
look, that means you have Jadhav, Vijay Shankar, and probably one of Jadeja or Ashwin. So, okay, Ashwin may not play the one days. Let's be clear about it. So, we'll have a three all-rounder stack from seven to nine, let's say, right? That will give you a bit of breathing space, and maybe another batsman right at the top, like Raidu, might not be required. That's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then, for me, I would always see. So, what Karthik has been reduced to is a 30 ball cameo. So, the Indian management, I think, expects no more than 30 balls or 40 balls from Karthik. If there are 15 overs left with the fall of the third wicket or the fourth or whatever, you might always see Jadhav coming in ahead of Karthik. This is
Yeah.
sort of the role Karthik has been given, I think, in this lineup. Do you think so, or do you see it differently?
Yeah, I think so because Karthik has done well in the shorter format, the 20 T20s.
Huh?
You have also seen him. I mean, I've also seen him play so well again for Kolkata Knight Riders, and he has done this so many times for them. So he's, I think he's used to this short time cameos,
Yes,
he also did in against Bangladesh the other day. I mean,
indeed.
T20 finals. So I think he's more used to that. But Kedar Jadhav, he has played that counter-attacking century against England. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, oh
So
yeah.
he can
That was a
also
very
play
good
a
one.
longer inning. So he's quite good at that. So he's a bit of an hybrid batsman in terms of compiling a longer innings as well as playing a counter-attacking innings. In
Indeed.
addition to that, he can also play the role of a finisher. I think he's a real good find. They
Yes,
need
yes,
him.
yes. I mean,
Yeah.
I see him as a mainstay of the middle order at least for a couple of seasons now, and maybe even going further, right? So,
Mm.
I think he has a very crucial role, and I see he will always be given given there are more number of balls, Jadhav will come in rather than Karthik. Karthik would be held back until the 42nd or the 45th over so that he can give that impetus, that
Yeah.
30 or a quick 30 or a quick
Yeah.
25, right? Along with whoever would be there. Maybe Pandya will come back into the mix. We don't know. Jadeja will be there or Vijay Shankar might be there. So one of these guys will be with him, and these are the people tasked with sort of taking India in the last 5 overs from
Mm.
a sort of depending on the sort of total they already have to push the Indian total to give it a proper ending.
Yeah.
At the end
Well,
of
this is an ideal scenario, to be honest. When things have gone well for Indian batting lineup, and then we have some finishers at the end to, finish the job, so to speak.
indeed.
But what if there is a collapse, at the beginning, at the top order? What if the top four collapse like they did in the first match, first one day,
It's still
or top?
okay
Yeah,
because, as you said, Jadhav has the pedigree to play a longer
exactly.
innings, take
Yeah.
30 overs, build the innings deep, and then you still have these finishers. Let's not still reduce the role that Karthik and Jadeja or Shankar
Mm.
can play. They could still hold one end of the up. You might one end of the innings. I mean, so
Mm.
it doesn't mean that they would get to 350 every time. They might get to 300 or they might get to
Yeah.
280, but it will still be competitive, right? From what
Mm.
I saw, the predictions are that most of these matches they expect there will be a 300 plus score even in the World Cup, right? So I think this one day side, the Indian one day side is always looking at it every time to make
Mm.
sure they have 300 at least targeting. Whether they're batting first or second, for them 300 is not a problem. That's what I see, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So going forward, another thing I wanted to sort of quickly discuss is the finishing role in the death overs from the bowling perspective. I think
Mm-hmm.
what I saw was that Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Shami did a very good job. And I would like to laud Bhuvneshwar Kumar. I think he's really come on as a finishing bowler. And let's not forget that there is no Jasprit Bumrah in this series, right? So
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
him there, I think between Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Bumrah, they have a fantastic finishing touch as well to the bowling innings. You had something to add? I'm sorry, I missed out.
No, no, no. I think what you said is completely right.
Hmm.
The other day, I think in the second match in Australia, I think Bhuvneshwar Kumar was the difference between Australia scoring 320, 330, and them finishing up at
Exactly.
299 or 298.
I think he
I
did a
think,
very good
yeah,
job there.
yeah,
Even in this ODI, it looked like the last few overs, they kept taking wickets in the third one, right?
hmm
So that they ensured that there was no impetus that Australia could impart to the end of the innings. So I
yeah.
really loved that.
And
Okay.
if I go, I mean, sorry to mention this, but
Hmm.
when Dhoni was the captain of the team, I remember Bhuvneshwar Kumar, in fact, bowling out his 10 overs. At the beginning of an innings, he was even doing that. I think
Yeah,
2 or 3 years ago, and now he's bowling so well at the death. So it's good to see him do that. Yeah.
Of course, I think it's also his own evolution that
Yeah.
at the beginning, even now, I think as even in the test series, he's seen as a new ball specialist, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's how he started out even in the one days because that was around the time when they introduced two new balls, right? To make
Yeah.
sure the ball is not replaced at all times. So with that in mind, that's how he was seen. He did majority of his bowling in the first 20 overs with the either new ball when the new ball had the shine or the slacker, right? Now
Right.
he's
Yeah.
improved on his finishing skills, so that means he gives a lot more depth to the
He
Indian.
has more pace. He has also added more pace,
Yes,
I
yes,
think.
a bit more
So
muzzle,
it's
I think. Yes, a
yeah.
bit more. That's very nice to see, man.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see that this batting and this bowling lineup has a lot of balance and this sort of good mix of both.
Mhm.
Even in case of a crisis, I see that they're able to pull it through. Is what I see. Let's see how it goes. So the last thing is that Dhoni, who was under a bit of pump when it comes to batting in 2018. I don't think he had a single,
Mhm.
let's say, 50. But now in 2019, he started with a bang. You see, this is why I like him so much. He knows when to deliver. It's a World Cup year. At the beginning of a World Cup year, he starts with 350s. And I think that's more or less put paid all these talks about Pant taking his place or something. Look, he has again reiterated his importance, right? Pant probably deserves to be in the squad. I don't see him really replacing Dhoni already. Something we were
Mhm.
sort of also considering last week in the previous episode,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This
But
is why
Pant
I
is
like him.
neither a finisher at this moment. I think he's not able to finish things off, right? Or is an enforcer at the top of the innings. If
Could be.
Dhoni and
Could,
Pant were to play in the same team, together in the same match,
yeah,
where would you play them both? I mean, that's it's open
exactly.
for discussion, but maybe another time.
It's just to bring another point we have later on. MSK Prasad continues to insist that Pant is a part of the India World Cup plans. Like I think they like the cushion of him being the in the squad because he gives the
Mm,
backup keeping option as well as good hitting skills, as you say,
mm,
enforcing skills.
mm.
So it's very interesting because there's already Karthik in the squad who's already a keeper and also sort of an enforcer or a finisher, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how they plan to fit him, but it doesn't mean the door is closed as far as Pant is concerned because the World Cup has only a squad of 15, right?
Mm,
Uh, I think because it's England, India would go in with probably three spinners and four fast bowlers minimum, right?
mm-hmm.
If that is the case, then you have only 8 people left to fill up the batting slots. I
Yeah,
really don't see Pant coming in there, but let's take it up later once the New Zealand series is fully in swing or maybe near the end of the New Zealand series. Let's look at this again. It's a
yeah.
valid point, I
It's
think.
such a beautiful problem to have for
Oh,
Indian
of
team
course.
management.
Of course.
Yeah,
It's rather a problem of plenty rather than empty cupboard, no? So it's a
yeah,
good one, right?
yeah. It's a good one.
All right. Now
Hmm.
look at a quick preview of the New Zealand versus India one day
But shall we
series.
talk about the elephant in the room first?
Oh yes. All right. I was going there anyway, but Hardik and Rahul, you mean?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Look, the acting BCCI president, Mr. C.K. Khanna, has come out saying that they should be allowed to play. I mean, make a decision is that the sort of vibes I got is that make a decision or let them play. Don't hold them back. Don't let their career stagnate. Was his point, I think. I agree with them there. I agree with him there because look, there is now
Mm.
this delay because the Supreme Court has not set a further hearing date, but they have thrown this case out because they don't have an amicus curiae. That is, they don't have a friend to advise them on
Mm.
this matter about the cricketing matter, so that they have thrown the matter out now. So it has to.
Yeah,
We don't know when this decision will come, and the decision is between COA's rights and the current or the previous BCCI hierarchy, the previous
yeah,
rulers, if I may say, within quotes of BCCI. And now it's sort of in a limbo. And how many things do you keep on hold? The elections of BCCI, the future of these two players. Come on, at least when it comes to these two players, I think, look, I agree with Mr. Khanna. They have been withdrawn from the squad. They have been made to suffer a lot of public humiliation. They have accepted. They have apologized. I think it's time you also slap
yeah,
a financial little bit of a fine on them. Then we move on.
yeah.
If
Yeah, I
required,
think they already missed 3 one day matches, right? In
I think
Australia,
Hardik
so
Pandya would have played 2 of those. I don't know
for
about
sure.
Rahul, whether he would have fit right in, but he's out of the team environment, right? That's enough of a punishment
Or
already.
you should at least let them play domestic cricket. Rahul, he can actually play for Karnataka, who are right now in semi-finals in Ranji Trophy. So
I agree. I agree. And so is Hardik, I think. Whom does Hardik represent? If I'm not wrong, Gujarat. Okay, they just missed out, I think. But look, they would have made some difference to the teams, their domestic teams, right? Either let them play until the decision is pending domestically, withdraw them from the international team. You've done that. Let them play domestically. I mean,
well,
why are they just sitting at their homes? I don't understand that.
absolutely. I mean, I have to commend Cricket Australia for handling this sandpaper gate so well. They were quite fast. I mean, they didn't take like months together to arrive at a decision. They did it in a couple of weeks, right? In the matter of one test match,
Yes,
right?
yes. At that point in time, it looked a bit hurried, but now I see the benefit of why they did that,
Exactly.
right?
And Cameron Bancroft is playing really well for Perth Scorchers now
Oh,
in
yes,
BBL.
yes.
Yeah.
I think he has a point to prove, and he's come out with that, and I like that he's doing that. But anyway, coming back to the point at hand,
Mhm.
uh, I think it's time they're given a sort of a closure. Sometimes parents do this; they let the kids sort of cook in their own juices, as you say, to know that they're guilty. But then now it's time that these guys are now let off, and either you slap a fine on them and let them move on, or let them know how long they'll be out of the action. They're just sitting, not knowing what's going to happen to them. This is not nice. I think it's time they wrapped it up, right? The BCCA.
Right. Right. Yeah.
All right. Now, if you look at the New Zealand India series preview, so I think it's going to be a very juicy contest. These are two teams that are nicely peaking, I think, in
Mm.
their preparations to the World Cup. And New Zealand pitches, I think it's now the peak summer. They would not be too spicy. There's still the spiciness that always comes into account while playing in New Zealand.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on this, Giri?
I mean, I think New Zealand conditions, if you consider the conditions that they play under, I mean, I think it's more similar to how the English pitches or English pitches behave basically. I mean, I think it's comparable. So if India do well here, or if India put up a good performance, I think it's more like a dress rehearsal for the World Cup. I think India will actually look to do well here. They would like to put up a good performance, like I said. So
Agreed.
I
Agreed.
think it's quite important that I remember this actually in 2003. India played World Cup in South Africa, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
And preceding the tournament, they played a series in New Zealand
they
back
did.
then.
Yes, yes.
And India lost horribly in the Test series. It
Oh,
was a
yeah.
tight contest, but I think they lost horribly. And they also had not such a big one-day series as well. I mean,
No,
there
no,
was
I think they also
some
failed in
good
that.
performance from, I think Virendra Sehwag was the only standout player then. He scored a smashing century in that series, in the
The
one-day
bowlers
series.
did good. Zahir
Yeah.
Khan and Nehra, I remember doing good in both the test
So
matches.
when they finished
Yeah.
that series and came to South Africa to play the World Cup in March, I think that was in March, and India played in New Zealand in somewhere in January.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
India were ready. India played. And I think India had one of the best World Cup series to that date after the '83 World Cup, of course.
Agreed. They came
And
to.
they even finished as runner-up in the end. So it actually prepared them well for the World Cup. So I see some similarity here. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I don't care, but I think India have a good chance to prepare themselves well for World Cup conditions in England. I think
Indeed. This is
it's a
a
good
good move.
opportunity. Yeah.
This is definitely a good move, and it might help the bowlers peak. It might sort of finish up their nicely planned out, plans and their executions. They may get a bit of boost there, and it also helps that you're playing against New Zealand, which is again peaking. They're
Yeah.
really good, and they're playing at home. They have a wonderful seam attack, so it'll test the Indian batting. There are 5 one-dayers, right? And there are 3 T20s, so it's not a small tour. So they'll give you enough limited overs matches to sort of finalize your combination, test it,
Yeah.
and this is for both the teams. So if
Yeah.
you were to look at the squads quickly, right? So the Indian squad was sort of set up very early, right?
Mhm.
I'm still trying to locate the New Zealand squad. If you do, please let me know because online I'm trying to find it quickly. So, but at least the Indian squad is exactly the same. The two people I would like to really discuss here is one is Shubman Gill, who now takes the place of let's say Rahul, and then there's of course Vijay Shankar, who's taken the role of who's taken the place of Hardik Pandya, right?
Right.
And so again, Shubman Gill, do you think he may get a run in these ODIs or I think he's in the ODI squad only. He's not in the T20 squad.
I'm not too sure actually. I'm not really sure if he will get a chance. He will get to travel with the team. He will
Yes.
get a chance to look at those players, how they train especially. He will get some time in the nets, I think.
Yeah.
But I think he will. It's more like grooming him for future. I don't think he
Okay.
will be able to play. I mean, if somebody gets injured badly, there is no chance of someone else playing because of some illness.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
he'll figure in. I think otherwise it will probably be a grooming tool for him. He'll just stay in the back room, look at how the senior guys prepare for the match.
One small correction. He's in both the squads, both T20 and one day squads, of course. And the other
Maybe
thing
he'll get
is,
a chance to play in T20. Maybe
yeah,
he will do that.
you could rest some of your key players who got a lot of,
Yeah,
outings in the one days and give this guy a chance, a go, blood him in the T20 format. Yeah, that would
yeah,
be a good idea. You're right.
yeah,
Next one is, what about the bowlers? So Mohammad Siraj and Khalil Ahmed, who are sort of in the one day squad, right?
yeah,
And I would say, I think Khalil Ahmed got one outing, and I think so did Siraj, right?
yeah.
What do you think about them? Would they be given more chances to maybe, see if one? I think I see Khalil Ahmed having the edge
Yeah,
there because he's a lefty, right? He's a
yeah.
left.
I think he brings a different style of bowling because he's a left armer. So he brings ball into the right hander and moves it away from the right hander. So I think he will be a better option if they were to play him, of course. But Bumrah will
Yes,
be back, right? Bumrah is also
Bumrah will
back.
play. Yes, that's
So
that's the other important thing. Thanks for
yeah,
bringing this up. Bumrah will play.
so Bumrah, Shami, Bhuvi, and who else do we have? And
Uh,
then Siraj and Khalil. So we have five
exactly.
seamers. Yeah.
So that's I think what I see is they might rotate the seamers and
Yeah.
try to
Maybe
find.
Shami will be rested.
Yes, I
Yeah.
expect Shami will not start
Yeah.
the series, but he'll be in the squad and he may come in the third or the fourth and the fifth ones. Yeah,
Mm.
but for me, I think Bumrah will start with Bhuvi, and I have a feeling Khalil Ahmed is being tried out because he's very young. He's still very raw.
21, I think.
He's 21,
2021. Yeah.
and for me, Siraj is good. That he's also only 24, and he has a bit more pace, I think, now than he once he started. But he's had a very inauspicious beginning, both in the one days and T20s. I think he was very costly. But
Mm.
if you look at it, I think he's more or less the same as a little bit same as Bhuvneshwar Kumar, but Bhuvneshwar Kumar executes his skills a bit more cleverly because of
His
the experience he's
experience.
gained. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Siraj may still get an outing, and for me, Khalil Ahmed, I think they're trying to see if he can go to England. I don't see Siraj
Mm.
being in the England squad. That is the squad to the World Cup, I meant, right? And I think Khalil may get his chance to sort of prove that he has that certain special thing. What we are continuing to say, right? The left arm
Mm.
angle.
Mm.
He might get to stake his chance to make the World Cup squad. I don't see Siraj really making it. And as we were discussing with from the batting perspective, it looks very settled. So
Mm.
I don't see too many upheavals there. And also, I think because they're playing in New Zealand, only one spinner may play, or maybe at
Mm.
most two. So I have a feeling Kohli will sort of lean towards Jadeja playing because he gives you
Yeah.
this control and
Absolutely.
what he adds with the bat, right?
Yeah.
So again, it'll be a toss-up between Yuzvendra Chahal and um I think I have a feeling because of the way he came back, Yuzvendra Chahal may get a bit more games than Kuldeep. But
Mm.
yes, Kuldeep has really this.
Yeah.
He's very effective if you've not read him or seen him much, and he's very tough to pick. But you
Yeah.
go on. You're going to
Yeah.
say something?
Let's not forget Kuldeep did really well in England last year.
Yes.
In the limited overs format. So I think he was quite effective. He picked up a lot of wickets. So he's still a force to be reckoned with. I think he will do well on English pitches.
Look, there
Uh,
is one thing I would like to add when it comes to Kuldeep. He is more effective at the beginning of the series. If he plays a series of matches, by the third or the fourth match, the batsmen are beginning to pick him. So
okay.
this is
Hmm.
something I've seen as a trend, right? Even in England, if you see, and now in the Australian series, the first one or two matches he's more effective. By the time the third or the fourth match comes around, people have started to work him out.
Hmm.
So I think the Indian team realizes it and they take him out, and then Chahal or somebody else will play,
Yeah.
right?
So they'll probably bring him in as a surprise element.
Exactly. So it
Yeah.
may happen near the end of the series if Chahal begins, and then he's the only, let's say, spinner in the team. Then maybe in the third, fourth, and fifth, maybe Kuldeep may get a run and Chahal may get to sit out. This sort of
Yeah.
things may happen.
And
Yeah.
and you know one more thing, this World Cup, I think this is the format of this World Cup will be similar to what we had in 1992. So each team
Oh,
will play against each other,
Ah,
So there will be a lot of matches. So nine, how many teams are there now? 9 or 10. So they get to play at least
yeah.
8 or 9 games, league games,
Wow.
round robin.
Really? Why did they switch back to that format? Okay, we'll keep it to another discussion
Yeah,
because
but this is
I
what
need
I
to look at.
read recently.
Oh man,
So there'll
I'm
be a
not.
lot of people required to be match fit.
I see. I
Yeah,
can imagine. So it'll be a 9 match or whatever the first round robin league. Good
yeah,
God. Let's take it up again because in another episode, because when we
yeah,
are
yeah.
nearing the World Cup we'll have plenty to
Okay,
talk.
yeah, yeah.
Why I'm saying is I don't like that format. I have enough things to hold a grudge against it, and I'll let you know why. I was really backing New Zealand in the '92 World Cup. This was the first World Cup I really started following, you know,
Mm,
and I was pissed
bad
off
move.
that they had only one failure chances. But okay, they failed. There was only one thing they did wrong, and they were out. Pakistan knocked them out. Anyway, let's go there
Yeah,
later. So those were sort of the Indian things we covered today, and then now if we go back to our other favorites, or my other favorite, Pakistan.
yeah. Likewise, I mean,
Yes.
yeah, I think they had a quite a bad test series. They just began the one-day series yesterday,
Yeah.
and I think, yeah, it was a commanding victory in the end. Thanks to the professor, he
Yes.
was
Yes.
there. He was there till
Yes.
the end.
Yes.
Finished the job for them. Um, I don't know. I mean, the pitch didn't look too good to bat on. So I saw Amla was playing not so bad, but the other guy I think who made the debut,
Uh,
Van der
Henry
Dussen, I
van der
think,
Dusen. Yeah,
yeah,
Henry van der Dusen. Yeah.
he was struggling. I mean, he was very scratchy, and he somehow managed to
I have a
creep up to
slightly
the
different
90s. Yeah.
outlook.
So it was
I'll tell you.
it was an innings. The South African innings was an innings. I think it was waiting to take off, but it never did.
Exactly. That is
So
my point.
they finished at 266 or something. And Pakistan, they I think they have a very good one-day side. They also won the Champions Trophy last time around in England.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were good. Fakhar Zaman and this guy Imamul Haq, they started really well.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
I think I saw Imamul Haq dance down the wicket and smash Kagiso Rabada for a six, right straight down the ground. It was amazing.
Yes. Rabada
Yeah,
was a
and
bit off color, I thought, but
yeah,
twice
but
I think Mahmud did that. He did
and
that to Olivier as well. Olivier as well.
and Duan Olivier, he can only bowl that test match length. So
And
Pakistan
that
had
means
figured him out.
that's a
Yeah.
very good point. That's a
So
good point.
I think he was trying to bowl too many short deliveries and he got whacked a few times. But apart from that, I think commanding victory. I think Pakistan will be really happy. You could see Mickey Arthur's face and he was really enjoying it. They were all very happy. Sarfraz Ahmad was quite tense till the end. But I think luckily for him, Hafiz did not take it to the last over. They finished it off well
Indeed.
ahead of.
No, I think this one day team is much more balanced in terms of experience. The moment Hafiz and Shoaib Malik steps in,
Absolutely.
they are so much
Mm,
more experienced, they're so much more calm, they have been in these situations. You have these all these young talent at the top, right? You have Imamul
yeah.
Haq, you have Fakhar Zaman and Babar Azam, but then you have these in the middle order along with Sarfraz, you have these two who can bring a lot of common sense. They
Yeah.
have seen it all, they've done it all. And in my
Yeah.
opinion, they may have missed a trick by appointing Sarfraz the captain of the one-day team. This is already going back 1 or 2 years because
Mm,
I always thought Shoaib Malik is very, very clever as a cricketer. I think they may have missed a trick. They didn't treat him right when he was appointed captain the first time around.
mm,
Maybe because of that, he didn't accept it when it was offered, possibly. But he would have made a fantastic one-day captain. You could have sort of kept
mm,
Sarfraz. He doesn't play the longer format anymore, Shoaib Malik, and he would have been the
yeah.
ideal one-day and T20 captain of Pakistan. That's my personal take because he has all this experience. He's sort of in the right place in his career. He's played enough. And anyway, going back to the matches themselves, if I were to say a couple of things about the South African innings, you're absolutely right. It never took off. But then I thought Henry van der Dusen was not to be blamed here because he was, after all, debuting and scoring
Yeah.
90 out of 101 is not at all bad, even if you have played a 300 matches, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Amla, I thought he was always striking at 90, but he never could accelerate. Most times, I was expecting the moment he crossed his 100, he would go berserk. Right?
Yeah.
He did. He tried. There were a couple of boundaries hit, but in the last 5 overs, I thought they could have added 20 more runs. I have a feeling from the position they were in, considering I read somewhere online, I
Mm.
think in Guerrilla Cricket commentary, I think they were saying this is the lowest score, or this is the lowest score made by a team that have lost only 2 wickets in a full completed 50 overs. That
Mm.
tells you the story. There was no way they should have finished short of 300 or at least 295, and that would have been the difference. There's always this cliche thing people say we were always 10 runs short, 20 runs short. This is one of those typical examples where they were exactly 10 or 20 runs short. And
Probably a lot more, I think.
middle overs, the acceleration did not come. This is the other thing. Once these both guys were sort of 50 plus, right? I expected Amla to sort of pick up the gear a little. He usually finishes 100 plus strike rate if he plays 70, 80 balls. Somehow today or in yesterday's match, he couldn't do that. That cost them the match. And in
I
the
think they probably should have sent sent in also who is this guy, Henrik Klassen. He's a good striker of the cricket ball. I think they should have asked Amla to hit out or get out,
yeah,
and then
that
brought him. They should have sent a message. I think the team management should have
they
sent. Maybe
did.
they have, but
They didn't work.
yeah, exactly.
I think Amla is sort of coming back into form, and he's sort of making sure he will be in the sort of run when it comes to the World Cup squad and some such. But I expected him to be a bit less, if I can use the word selfish, because look, he's such a nice gentlemanly player. I don't like to use those words. But then maybe he could have been a bit more selfless and gone after the bowling a little bit. It doesn't matter if you got out at 97 or 98. If you were to try to accelerate that additional 10 balls you would give to David Miller and maybe even, as you say, Klaasen or Faf du Plessis could have made the difference, right? Anyway, and the other thing, you hit the nail on the head when you said Rabada and Olivier both were bowling the test match lengths. You could clearly see that,
Yeah.
right? And they got hit because of that. And let's not take anything away from Imamul Haq and I think Babar Azam to an extent, because they both sort of steadied the ship. They set up so nicely, and Hafiz finished it off well. Hafiz scored at more than run a ball, and Malik or Sarfraz couldn't support him, but he was there. So if you see our tweets around this time, I was following this very closely, and on the Armchair Quick Pod, the tweets, it'll show you I was sort of following it up, and my feeling was that if Hafiz stayed, they would win, and that's what exactly happened.
Yeah.
He took it till the end, right? They couldn't sort of finish it off in the 47th or the 48th, but that showed his experience counted. His experience played out, and he showed that even in the way he hit the runs or the boundaries when the team was sort of,
And I think he kind of knew that the bowlers were going to make some mistakes, and he was waiting for the bad ball to punish them. So he didn't panic. He didn't try to, he was. Maybe this is too strong a comparison, but he was playing like Dhoni, to be honest.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
No, it's not too strong a comparison. At least for me, he has the nous, he has the experience, and he has the talent. I don't see him any less than Dhoni as a batsman, maybe not as much as a finisher. Right? In a chase, maybe he can still, match Dhoni.
Yeah. I think the other thing I would like to mention is the role of Babar Azam. I think he played more like a sheet anchor. He was there for quite a while. He was keeping the ship steady, like you said. So I have such high hopes for him in the World Cup. I hope he does well.
I think this is the coming man. He already has been for 2 years, and
he has an ODI average of 50.
Yes.
Right? So
ODIs, he's the real champion in that team in ODIs, right? Yeah. He really came out with a bang with ODIs, and now he's trying to translate it also to the Test team. So just to, I think this sets up the series wonderfully well. I think it will be a very competitive one-day and T20 series that follows. Right, I expect it will be a very close 3-2 one way or the other. This is my prediction. Pakistan will probably take this one day series 3-2. This is my prediction, and also the T20 series. Let's see how it goes. Right, and one quick point about the Test match squad. When I hear some of the podcasts, so first of all, I would like to say hello to our co-podcasters, or another podcast out there, Down the Ground podcast. These are very passionate Pakistani supporters. I listen to them, and they happen to mention a very nice fact that Pakistan has done only 19 A tours since let's say the inception of cricket in the country, and that's a very interesting thing because that's very few, you would think, right? And and they have not done an A tour of South Africa in 5 to 6 years, which is very weird. How do you groom your players? If you compare it to India or England, who have done at least 10 plus tours in the last 10 years, they're always touring. I think they've gotten this groove of the A team being very close to the main team, also nearing in a nearby country, like for example, India was playing in Australia and India was in New Zealand. England did it multiple times when the A team or the Lions team was also in the same place as the main team, so that they can swap players and they get this experience, right?
Yeah, and they can also have a good bench strength, people who are match fit. So I think that's very important.
So something that the Pakistan board can probably take on going forward. Now they are able to also generate some revenue from this PSL and everything. They could probably invest it towards this, and make their bench strength or their the second squad really strong that pushes the first squad.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, just a small thing, I will probably not go too much into it. I heard in one of those analysis shows, Shoaib Akhtar was claiming that he was offered the selectorial seat on a Pakistan under 19 squads.
Mm-hmm.
That might not be a bad idea. He wanted both the selectorial and the managerial sort of a role, a dual
Mm.
role there. I don't know how it will work, but look, this guy was a bad boy in his time, but he has seen enough international cricket. And when he talks, you get the feeling that he may have sort of put some of those things behind and may have matured.
Of course.
And he brings this raw aggression to everything he does. That might really be something that might need to be injected back in.
Yeah.
They are very critical of Mickey Arthur, who's trying to make it more of a how the rest of
Professional outfit. Yeah.
exactly. But balancing it out is the most important thing.
Yeah.
I think every team has to find its culture, and
Yeah.
Pakistan should never completely let go of that aggressive and this raw talent that they have, but still sort of merge it with the professional setup. So this guy might be not a wrong or not an entirely wrong choice. There is my opinion.
Mm.
All right. Now let's now
Test
preview.
series. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Let's quickly preview the two test series that are coming up. One is the Australia and Sri Lanka test series. So it's a very interesting tour. It's just a two-test tour that Sri Lanka, who are fresh off the boat from New
Mm.
Zealand, I think will be. They just played out a tour game. It was not very productive. I think they lost a lot of wickets in both the innings. They got to bat and their bowlers were taken apart, and they gave away a lot of runs, including two centuries, I think, to the Australian board 11. So is that do you think sort of a precursor of what might be coming in this series, Giri?
Well, I hope not. I hope it's not going to be one-sided. Having said that, I think Aussies will be waiting to take a
You
take a
did
shot
say
at
this
them.
in the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
previous podcast as well, and
Yeah.
I think you're right. Also, I think Aussies had a little bit of a setback. Hazelwood is injured,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there is stress fracture of the back, which is a serious sounding injury, I think. So
Oh,
I hope
that's
he's recovered enough by the time the World Cup comes around, because I think they would wrap him in cotton wool if required until then, because that's not a easy injury to recover from, isn't it? So the stress
mm.
fracture of the back for a fast bowler.
But
And
his
Jay Richards,
replacement, yeah, Jai
uh-huh.
Richardson, he's
What
been
do you think of
added to
this guy?
the Test squad based on his form in white ball cricket.
Yes.
Weren't there
Look,
domestic guys, domestic Sheffield Shield players who
yeah, there
who
are a
did
couple more
deserved a
people.
better chance?
There are a couple more people. So Daniel Worrall is one of the people I think they were discussing, right?
Mm.
Who's been a consistently high performer, very high wicket taker in their domestic circuit
Mm.
for the last 2 to 3 seasons. But this guy, I think he brings this X factor that you can't put your finger on. Jai Richardson,
Mm.
right? He's fast
Okay.
and he hurries the batsman up. He showed this in the one
Yeah.
day as well, right? And it's not easy to surprise people like Dhoni or Kohli, but he was able to do that, right?
Yeah.
So maybe he has this certain X factor, but they already have Mitchell Stark there.
Cummins, right? Cummins
Cummins as
also.
well. Oh, he
Yeah.
bowls a heavy ball. Let's not
Yeah.
discount that
Let's
guy.
not forget Cummins. Yeah.
Of course. So it's an interesting choice in itself. You would go for a banker,
Yeah.
somebody who can, like Hazelwood is a banker in the test squad, right? When it comes to
Mm.
bowling, he's right then and there. He keeps forcing the batsman to play that specific line and length, and these guys can attack. So I have a feeling Jay Richardson might be given the taste of the highest level, as in he might be made a part of the squad. Somebody else might take his place. I don't have to check. I
Who
have a
else is there?
feeling. I'm
Yeah.
checking the squad now. I have a feeling maybe Siddle may get a look in. He was a part of the India squad as well, right? He was
Right.
also a part of the India squad. So I'm now checking. So I would say yes. I have a feeling it'll be Peter Siddle, who might come back into the squad, and he might sort of play in the 11 ahead of
Mm.
Jai Richardson. This is my take on it. And when it comes to the Australian top order, Joey Burns was the other batsman we forgot to mention while sort of
Yeah.
reviewing
Yeah.
what.
Yeah.
So he would be the composition. I think he might open, and Will Pukowski may not get a look in at the beginning. So it might be rather Joey Burns with Matt Renshaw. But these both are sort of players coming back. Matt
Yeah.
Renshaw has already been sort of, I think, earmarked as a player for the future, right? He's only 22. And
Yeah.
that's sort of a bit more stable. Then Usman Khwaja can take the number 3. Then
Yeah.
Travis Head and Marnus Labuschagne or Labuschagne to come, and then you have you have the captain, Tim Payne, and then the rest of the batting. I would say that seems a bit more measured rather than throwing both Pukowski and Renshaw together at the top. But we'll see how that.
I would still have retained Finch.
Yes,
Yeah,
I would
still
definitely
I would have given him another run.
In the middle order. This is my
in
opinion.
the middle order, not as an opener, but in the middle order.
Yeah. When it comes to Sri Lanka, I think they suffered a little bit of a setback. Poor Nuwan Pradeep is injured again. He's injured his hamstring. I don't know what this guy has to do, man. I know, coming from the subcontinent, I would recommend him to go back and do some pujas or some hymns and some religious ceremonies. Something has gone wrong. There is my opinion. I mention it jokingly, but I really feel for him. I was really excited when I saw him bowling in tandem with Suranga Lakmal. They added something to the squad, but now he's not there. He's again injured out, and he's no spring chicken. He's 32 now, man. I mean, I don't know how many more years he has left in that body. It's unfortunate for me that he's not able to perform now, because he was in the squad in New Zealand, but he never got a test match, and now he will not get a test match on this tour either, which is not nice, But when it comes to the batting, Dimuth Karunaratne has been one of the more successful openers in 2018. Do you know that he only averaged about 37, I think, in tests, but he was one of the successful openers in Test cricket, because last year famously test openers had a very torrid time. The fast bowling has seen a renaissance sort of in Test matches, and this guy was one of the successful ones. I expect he'll play a very important role, right? And of course, Niroshan Dikwella and we'll have to see. Sadira Samaravikrama is one of those up and coming youngsters who's got a taste of the international cricket there, right? Yeah. I expect some of these people, along with, of course, Chandimal, right, to be important players now that Matthews is not there. Kushal Mendes, but he's a third innings or a fourth innings player. You know that, right? I always claim.
But they had a real scare, the South African team.
Yes.
I think his injury is not so severe. I think he can play.
You mean Matthews?
No, Kushal Mendes.
Kushal Mendes will play.
He had a minor injury when he was playing against that Cricket Australia 11.
Yes, I got your point. I think I misunderstood that. So this will be the majority of the batting order. I would expect Karunaratne to open with. I have a feeling they may ask Sadira Samaravikrama to come in, right? Or Lahiru Thirumanna is still in the squad, but he's been underperforming for years. I don't know. So let's see. But then the bowling is still in safe hands. There's Suranga Lakmal, right? And you have these two very exciting prospects, Dushmanta Chamira and Lahiru Kumara. And these three I expect will start off, right? And then as Tilruwan Pereira is like sort of a banker abroad, I think, for Sri Lanka. Yeah. But I don't know if they would sort of throw in Laksan Sandakan, the left arm leg spinner, right? They may throw him in. We'll see. I have a very interesting outlook on this. In Australia, especially considering that the first match is, I think, a day-night match, it might really pay off if they play this left arm leg spinner. This is my thought on that.
And why do you think so? What do you think?
In Australia, the first I'm looking at the schedule, right? So the first test match is in Brisbane, and I have a feeling that's a nice bouncy pitch. And Vaughan used to be always successful on this pitch. Right. So Vaughan is okay. He's not a normal comparison to make when it comes to leg spinners. I should say that outright, right? But then he always said if there is bounce in the pitch, a leg spinner is always in the game. He's a left-arm leg spinner, I know, but he's still a wrist spinner. He's always in the game. Yeah. And in the day-night matches, you get a bit of bite in the second half of the day when the lights are on, correct? With the pink ball. But then in the first half of the day, this guy might be very useful. He might be a partnership breaker, right? Whereas sort of Dilruwan might be the holder. I would even say, can you risk leaving Dilruwan out and playing this guy? I don't see that happening, but that might be an interesting sort of a left field pick for Sri Lanka as far as I'm concerned. All right. That's sort of my thoughts. I don't know if you have any more to add. The second test is from February 1st.
Canberra, actually. Second test is at Canberra.
That's a new one, right? So they're trying to introduce a new test venue, and they're trying to. Canberra has already hosted a few one-dayers, I think, and T20s. So it might be. This is the administrative capital of Australia. It's not really much on the cricketing map as far as I'm concerned, right? Yeah. But I think it might be something new. We might see how that goes. I have no clue how the pitch will play. Maybe in the coming weeks when we get closer to the test, we might get to know a bit more about it. Let's see
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah.
Right? Now, to the
Shall we
next
move on
one.
to West Indies? Yeah.
Yes. So the West Indies and England series. I'm really happy to see that Darren Bravo has been brought in. Right?
Mm-hmm.
England have this very settled squad and they don't have a lot of tumults in there. But West Indies squad, right? There is always up and down. You have no clue how it'll go. But I'm very happy to see. First of all, Holder has recovered. He'll be back to lead the squad. He's a very hero. He's a very fastly improving test player, in my opinion. His bowling has come on very nicely. He used to always contribute with the bat. He's very steady. He's very classical test match batsman. So he'll add that, right? And you anyway have this raw pace of Shannon Gabriel and Kemar Roach. They're always there.
Yeah.
And Shannon Gabriel is also one of the most improved players in that setup. I'm very excited. You have very good batsmen right at the top. So you have Shai Hope, right? And their openers, they're sort of hot and cold. For me, Brathwaite is their banker right at the top, and their top order, if they can hold together for half a day or three-fourths of a day, they have a very solid middle order with this Chase, Roston Chase. You have Holder, right? So and you have Shai Hope at four. They have a very, let's say, not a very raw top order, but they can be very promising. And if you give at least 300 runs to bat, right, if it's something to play with, Shannon Gabriel, I think with Kemar Roach, I see him doing quite nicely. I think his breakthrough tour was the last West Indies tour of England, where he took 5 hours and won a match for the West Indies. And he's this old school, batter the batsman to death sort of a bowler. When he bowls, I am really excited. And there was this O'Shane Thomas previously. He's not yet played a test match, but I don't know if he comes into the picture, but I would like to see at least him in the squad to see if he can learn from these guys, right? This is
just
the
include him in the squad, but not play him in the.
There's also Miguel Cummins, so I would expect that the squad to begin with would be at least from the fast bowling stocks. They would, I think, go with 3 if not 4, because I'm reading that there are 2 things that are sort of fresh for this squad, right? Or this series. One is Dukes have come up with a red ball that is more resistant to the abrasion from the surface. Duke's ball is always very susceptible to
So
that.
it doesn't go soft soon.
Or lose its slacker very easily. So I think they're trying to see if they can find a ball that performs well on abrasive pitches so that they can get in on the Asian market as well, right? In Asian conditions, you usually go with, at least in India, we go with SG, I think in Sri Lanka as well. So I think they're trying to see if they can get in there. So what I see is the first test match is scheduled to be played in Bridgetown. And it's a very spicy pitch is what I read about it. So it might be a good contest. England have a very settled squad. I don't see too much to discuss. They are so sort of in a groove. You have these Broad and Anderson, very classic, proven performers with the greatest for their own country, right? And then you have, I think Ben Stokes is now in the squad and Ollie Stone has been withdrawn. Unfortunately, Ollie Stone has gone. I was very sort of excited to see this guy. He's one of those guys that bowls 150 plus or 150, right? And it's a nice thing to see that, but unfortunately he's injured himself. And I think the other guy, the Durham guy, I forget his name, Mark Wood. He's been brought into the squad. Yeah, he's been thrown into the squad. So the thing is, this might be one of those exception pitches on West Indies shores where the pitch might be fast and both the teams may be looking to sort of go with fast bowling, more of fast bowling. Normally, West Indian pitches are almost subcontinental in nature. There's a lot of wear and tear. And Sam Curran, I don't know if they'll start with him because he's more of a swing bowler. But let's see. I would say Moeen Ali would start for sure. I don't know if Adil Rashid starts.
No, but Sam Curran has his good batting ability, so he will also come in with that. So
he might come in as an all-rounder, you might say.
Yeah.
And then also when it comes to the opening, the middle order is very settled. You have Root, you have Ali, you have Bairstow, and you have also Buttler. So the middle order is sort of very much settled. But for me, what I would like to see is the openers, Rory Burns and Keaton Jennings. They both have a good chance. Keaton Jennings is now the experienced opener with Ali Cook retired, right? I would like to see if they're able to settle down, and you have Ben Stokes, the X factor in the squad as well. And this is for me going to be still, it's going to be an England victory as far as I see. Right?
Yeah,
I don't.
Another question for you. Another question for you.
Go on.
Bairstow or Buttler for keeping?
Yeah, that's a good one. I sort of was thinking about it in the background as well. Look, Bairstow was asked to not keep, and because he got injured, Butler was given the gloves, and Butler is now seen as the coming man of the
Okay.
of the England team, right, across all formats. So
Mm.
it would be unfortunate if Bairstow cannot keep his gloves and he's only playing as a batsman. But I see that happening with this England cricket mindset. I see that Bairstow will play as a batter and Butler will
And
keep.
let's not forget. I think I saw this stat somewhere. Bairstow has had a prolific one-day season last year. So he's
Yes,
been
yes.
their
Oh,
best
yeah.
one-day batsman.
He started opening, and I think he
Yeah.
made it his own the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they will have to preserve him for World Cup as well. So
exactly,
see, they
exactly.
might need to go easy on his back if he has to keep for
Yeah,
90
yeah.
overs. Yeah, can he
He
do
has
that?
some
Yeah,
injury issues. You're
yeah.
right. That's a
So
very good point. So for me, look, with Darren Bravo back in the squad, probably he'll bat at three for the West Indies, and I really expect he'll have something to say about it. With the bat, with through his
mm,
performances. So it might be a close contest, but I still see England taking the Test series at least 2-1, if not 2-0. It's a three-test match series, and I see them taking it. This is my prediction going forward. I think we can review the rest of the tour in the upcoming few episodes because there's
yeah,
plenty of time.
we'll have more to say. I think next week as
Okay.
well. More cricket to
So
be played next week. Yeah.
look, for me, I think let's quickly go through the miscellaneous topics for now. Let's say I see this article. It's a very interesting article. The PCB is saying that Australia is in talks, right? To
Hmm.
quickly round it out, I think PCB is continuing to insist that Australia will come, whereas Australia is sort of we are not sure. When did we say that? Yada yada yada. So what do you say about this, Giri?
I don't know. I don't. In Australia in going to play in Pakistan,
Yeah.
probably not going to happen. I don't think.
Like it's I think a bit of Pakistan is trying to use social media or use a bit of
No.
media pressure to get
Mm.
Australia to come at least look at it, right? So their exact terms are the PCB is still waiting for response from CA, so
Mm.
they're still waiting, so they don't know.
Mm.
In
Yeah.
this case, that's we'll see how that pans out, right? I'm very interested to see if any team would try to come to Pakistan to play. This is something I would like to talk about in another episode. I have a lot of thoughts on it. It might take a lot of time, but
Sure.
I think it's time. It's time we the other countries out there start playing small tours in Pakistan. Give it T20. Let's see how it pans out. But there are both pluses and negatives to this, and we'll get into it in another
Yeah.
episode. So other things, Archer, Jofra Archer, the Bajan Barbadian born, I wanted to say.
Yeah.
The Bajan who is now very much on the England radar, Giles says. Ashley Giles, who's
Mm.
taken up the role of the
From
CEO.
Strauss. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he says, this guy still, now he's qualified, I think, or he'll qualify very shortly before the World Cup, and he has a proven pedigree. It's going to
Mm.
be interesting. I don't know. I don't see really a place for him, but given that he bowls 140 plus and has something to offer with the bat,
Yeah.
right? And I think he might come into the mix.
He plays white ball cricket very well.
Oh
Very
yeah.
good. Yeah. So.
Look, he's a Bajan man. They are born fast bowling in their blood, so to say, and he I think can tonk the ball a bit as well.
Yeah.
He bowls test match lengths. I've seen him in BBL. Very interestingly, he bowls some interesting test match lengths.
Yeah.
Or so it works for him though, right? He has a very good slow ball as well,
Mm.
and I think if somebody gets up his nose, I see him pushing 150. Right? He's sort of looking like
But it doesn't look like he makes a lot of effort in bowling 140
exactly.
plus. He's very casual in his
I think
bowling
it's
action.
that
Yeah.
big frame and that wrist coming through the action. You're absolutely right. You hit it on the head when you say it doesn't look like he's struggling. So
Exactly.
if somebody can get up his nose, we don't. I don't think 150 is a problem for him.
Yeah, it looks so natural to him the way he bowls.
Exactly. Oh,
I think he was born to bowl fast.
yes, it
Kind
looks
of.
so natural. Shannon Gabriel doesn't show that, but sometimes Kemar Roach did before his injury. I think he
I
looks
think
natural.
I can also think of Rabada. Rabada
Oh,
is also very natural,
good
in his bowling
example,
action.
excellent
Yeah,
example.
yeah,
He doesn't look like he's struggling.
exactly.
Engidi doesn't show it. Rabada does. He looks like he's just going through the crease. There's no effort there. It's so
Yeah.
natural. Lovely. Well, he's very exciting, I would
I hope
say.
Archer gets to play for England. If it
Yes.
all works out for him in the end.
I somehow see that he will play. Let me put it like this.
Mm.
Whether he'll play in the World Cup already, we don't know, but he will definitely represent England is my prediction going forward.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Yeah, and talking about Ashley Giles, I saw one of his interviews the other day where he mentioned he will have a relook at this practice, or not practice,
Uh-huh.
but the English cricket players, they have a routine in their training.
Mm-hmm.
They play football amongst each other. So he's not in favor of this because it also causes some injuries to the players.
It
So
has
he's,
come
he's
out,
he's
right?
spoken about it or spoken
Yes.
against it very mildly.
Mm-hmm.
But that's his English way of saying it. But I think he means it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Butler has responded, Joe Butler. He also thinks it's not a good.
All right.
So
No,
they
there
they
are
may
some,
they may actually revisit their training routines. I
say
think they may
volleyball,
not
play
play.
something else where you are
Yeah,
involved. I think football is chosen because it is useful for warming up all parts of the body or something I read somewhere. Because even though you're only running around, you still use a lot of your body to turn quickly or change
yeah,
direction and all of these things. So you use all your body as well. So, but in this case, maybe as you say, if it
yeah,
contributes to injuries, what's the point? Take it out, use something
yeah.
else. These days, come on, at my club, the sort of training routines we do are so extensive. I can't
Mm,
imagine the amount of work that's been put in training regimens at the highest level, right?
yeah, yeah.
So there are exceptions, there are other things. So,
And what about this guy? The Reverend is back in news.
uh-huh.
Yeah,
No, well,
uh,
he's never been out of it, has he? By Reverend, I think you referred to David Warner.
David Warner, of course. Yeah.
So in BPL, in the middle of an over, I think while Gale was bowling, he switched from left to right and whacked the ball, 3 balls, 16 runs or some such, right?
And you're not. This is not reverse it. It's just
No, no,
changing
no.
his stance.
He just changed his stance. He just
Yeah.
became a right-hander, so to say, right?
Mm,
And I think
mm.
he had to tell the umpire officially, tell them, guys, I'm now a right-hander, and turned around and started batting. There are no problems with the rules. MCC has clarified, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
only thing is, as a bowler, I don't think you can switch your arms in the middle of an over, but as a batter, you are allowed to. Because look, the rules still say it takes only 1 ball to get out, so they don't care the bowlers, I'm sure, right?
But it's amazing, right? I mean, he can whack the ball even as a right-handed batsman. Amazing.
No, no, I think he has shown it multiple times. While left-handed batting, well, the amount of power he gets into switch hits or these reverse slogs, whatever you call it,
Mm.
man, I mean, I'm not at all surprised. And I have a feeling he was born a right-hander who sort of took up left-handed batting.
Uh-huh.
So, if you were to go back into history, if you look at many people out there, or ex-cricketers or current cricketers who are able to bat left but bowl right, I have a feeling they were born right-handed. For example, I think I read a while back, right? Saurav Ganguly is the most
Mm.
famous example because he used to bowl right-handed, if you remember, and not
Yeah,
very
yeah.
fast.
Dibbly dobblies, like
Yeah,
Jeff
well,
Marquardt used to say.
yeah,
Yeah.
right-hand, medium bowling,
Mm-hmm.
right-handed medium. But at the end of the day, I read when he was younger, he was asked to switch to batting left. He was not a natural lefty at all. His elder brother, Snehashish Ganguly, was a left-hander. So they already had a left-handed kid at home. So it was sort of, it's done at a very young age, like
Wow.
when he was 6 or 8, like, why don't you start batting left? And he did. And you've seen the result as
Of course, yeah.
his own colleague, Mr. Rahul Dravid, put it, there's God and there's Ganguly on the offside.
On the
So,
offside, yeah.
well, Lara might have a few things to say, and so did Mr. Graham Pollack and Gary Garfield Sobers. So let's leave that. It's a bit of hyperbole that we can indulge with a bit of good humor, I'm sure, right? Anyhow,
Mm.
so that has been most of the things we had planned for today, right?
Yeah.
And all right, so again, I would like to thank our all our listeners for the involvement they've shown and the feedback they've given us. You can always get in touch with us via the Armchair Cricket Pod at Armchair Cricket Pod. This is our Twitter handle, and we are sometimes online during matches, so we can banter around live. You are welcome to do that with us. And then there's also the armchair.cricket@gmail.com. This is our mail ID, so get in touch. We would like to very much hear your comments, anything you would like to contribute, any questions you would like to ask us, we would like to take up, right? These are some of the things we are very much interested in. We have our podcast now available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So please, give us a listen. And then, of course, if you would pass this word around, we would be very grateful if you could get your friends, other cricket enthusiasts in your circle of friends, to also get to listen to this podcast. We would be very grateful. Thanks a lot for that. And then, just to look at what we would like to see in the upcoming podcast or the upcoming weeks, we have the one-day series between India and New Zealand that will begin. We have the
Mm.
ongoing one-day series between Pakistan and South Africa, of course. And from Test match perspective, we have um, both
Australia,
England,
South
West Indies.
Africa, Australia. Yeah.
Yes, both the England, West Indies as well as the Australia Sri Lanka series
Sri Lanka.
start. So it's a mouth-watering week of cricket coming up. So thanks a lot for listening to this one, and I hope you can join us again for the upcoming episodes where we will discuss all of these and more. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a very nice week, and thanks a lot, Giri. Thanks for joining and your very good contributions.
Thank you, Ajit. Speak to you next time.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
You're listening to the Armchair Cricket Podcast.